In 1901, France was in its golden age. Art, music, fashion, but also, let's be honest, people were obsessed with the weird and paranormal. Ghost stories, seances, time travel. If it was spooky or unexplainable, it had its moment. So let me introduce you to English-born and bred Charlotte Anne Moberly and her mate Eleanor Jourda. They were proper academic types, principals of St. Hugh's College in Oxford. One sunny day, they took a trip to the Palace of Versailles in France. You know, a nice day out, soak up some history, maybe a scone or two. But this wasn't your typical tourist trip. What should have been two women taking a lovely stroll in the park turned into a bizarre and creepy story. We're talking strange people in old-fashioned clothes, a supernatural tension that only gets tenser. This is an encounter that still has people scratching their heads over 100 years later. So turn those lights down and sound up. This is the story of Charlotte Anne Moberly, Eleanor Jourda, and the time slip of Versailles. And yeah, it's as eerie as it sounds. Moberly and Jourda are wandering around Versailles, soaking up the sunshine and planning a visit to the Petit Trianon. It's all very wholesome, but as they're walking through the grounds, things start to feel off. You know that feeling when something's not quite right? Like when someone messages you the words, "we need to talk," and immediately assumes the worst. That feeling. They said the air felt heavy, the kind of oppressive vibe that makes the hairs on your neck stand up. Even the birds had gone quiet. And then they started noticing people, strange people, men in old-fashioned clothes wearing tricon hats and long coats, hanging around like they'd stepped out of a history book. One of them was sitting near a cottage, staring at them. Not in a "hello tourist" kind of way, but more of a "you don't belong here" vibe. This is where it gets properly creepy. As they're walking, they see this man. His face is pockmarked, and he's dressed in what they describe as very old-fashioned clothes. And when I say old-fashioned, I don't mean vintage chic. I'm talking straight out the 1700s. Now, imagine you're there. You're already feeling weird and on edge. You feel like something just doesn't add up, and suddenly this bloke with a face that looks like it's been through a bad time is staring at you. He doesn't just stand there either. He starts moving towards them. The way Moberly described it, it wasn't a friendly approach. He wasn't coming over to offer directions or say, "Bonjour." No. This was more like a slow, deliberate walk, like he was sizing them up. She said his eyes felt piercing, like he was looking right through them. Even stranger still, they didn't run. If it were me, I'd be tactically offering my friend up whilst pegging off into the distance. But no, they just stood there like deer in the headlights. As this man got closer, eventually, he raised his arm and pointed down a path, motioning for them to go that way. I don't know about you, but when a creepy bloke points down a mysterious path, that's my cue to not go down it. But they did. Because, of course, they did. As they walked further, the world around them seemed to change. They said the trees looked different, more vibrant, almost too perfect. The buildings looked freshly painted, like they'd just been built. It was like stepping into a painting, a really unsettling one. And then, there was the woman. Moberly saw her near the Petit Trianon, sitting in the garden, sketching. She was dressed in a formal gown, her hair styled in an elaborate 18th century way. But here's the thing. Moberly said she didn't look real. She described her face as waxy, almost mannequin-like. Jourda didn't see the woman, which makes it even weirder. Imagine seeing someone so out of place, and your mate is just like, "What woman?" That's enough to send a shiver down anyone's spine. At this point, they were both thoroughly spooked. The oppressive feeling hadn't gone away, and everything around them still felt wrong. They made their way out of the grounds, and the second they left, it was like flipping a switch. The tension eased and the weight had lifted. The air felt normal again, and the world was back to how it should be. When they tried to make sense of it later, they realised that the layout of the grounds they walked through didn't match the current maps of Versailles. It was as if they'd wandered into an older version of the palace. one that no longer exists. Mobley and Jodar weren't the types to let this go. They dug into historical records trying to figure out what they'd seen. And wouldn't you know it, the details matched up. The clothes, the buildings, even the woman sketching. Everything fit with accounts from the late 1700s. Even creepier, other people had reported similar experiences at Versailles over the years. Ghostly figures, changing atmosphere, it wasn't just them. Do you think they found a small tear in our fabric in time that they happened to slip through? A shared hallucination? Or was the Petit Trianon just really haunted? So what do you think happened to Charlotte Ann Mobley and Eleanor Jodar? Was it a genuine time slip, or just two women that had a bit too much time in the sun? It's the kind of story that makes you question everything. Could we really stumble into another time, another reality, without even meaning to, and get back just as easily? Anyway, let me know your thoughts in the comments. Time travel, ghosts, or reasonable explanation? I'd love to hear what you think. Cheers. I'll catch you next time.